no doubt that the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga ushered a political truce for a country that was on the brink of a devastating. But no sooner had the handshake game started, so did in equal measures the pain between political sides, putting very bridges that were to be built at stake. But if there was ever a time when the idea of an expanded executive was flouted as an answer to Kenya's problems.
Gari ya moshi inaendelea. Station nyingine itakuwa ni Meru. Kutoka pale itaenda Narok. Itaenda Nakuru. Itaenda Garissa. Itaenda Nyeri. Itaingia Nairobi. Kama nje shauri yako.
Kuna little doubt na wakaribisheni tena this time because there is no disagreement. I want to ask Governor Kibwana, coordinator of BBI and charity, tukutane wote. Let us continue to educate our people. Ili watu wajue kila mtu hapa. Na hakuna mabishano hapa. Hakuna mabishano. Na
mambo ya watu wakishinda uchaguzi, watu wawili watakimbia kiti wanaenda, hiyo lazima ya BBI iangalie.
Good evening, I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Thank you for making time for us. It's Spotlight. But before we begin this discussion of today's question, we are asking you is what are your thoughts in as far as the state of the nation is concerned? Remember, you can be part of this discussion. Twitter at TV47KE, at Abubakar Abdullahi, and the hashtag to use is TV47 Spotlight. Let's get to our highlights now.
Help us get our loved ones. A family in Nairobi Soweto slum desperately pleased with well wishers and the police launch probe into the murder of Swiss International in Nzoia County. Coronavirus fear grips county.
police patrol base in the greener suburbs to curb rising cases of insecurity in the area. He, however, called on the resident to report any suspected persons.
Tumeimarisha usalama kule kwa sababu tumeweka watu ambao wanafanya patrols, na still nilikuwa na watu wa milimani hapa ambao walikuwa wanataka wawekewe pale police post. Mimi nikawaeleza facilities tutaweka askari hapo, wakapromise kwamba wamepata mahali wanatengeneza kama tunasipata facilities tu ya askari wawe wanaenda pale wanapatilishana, so that kama kitu kinafanyika hapo ni karibu watu wanasakimbia, but tuko na askari ambao wanafanya patrol huko. Wito kwa wananchi ni kwamba wakisikia kitu chochote wawe wanapiga report.
This comes barely 5 months after an Israeli was brutally murdered in the same locality. The body of the woman is lying at Crystal Morgue as investigation continues. Boniface Barasa, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
Elsewhere, a family in Nairobi's Soweto slum is calling upon well-wishers and the government to intervene and help offset hospital bills so as to have the body of their loved one, Maureen Chengenda, which is laying at Kenyatta Hospital, released, as they are unable to clear the hospital bills. The late succumbed to injuries sustained from a domestic row. Winnie Maganga has more to this story.
This home in Kayole has been on a somber mood for the past few weeks after Maureen Chengenda met her untimely death here. Her longtime friend and husband Joshua Mirere on the 3rd of January this year did unthinkable. He threw a heating stove right at her. She sustained burns that she would later succumb to early this month. According to an eyewitness who happens to be their neighbor, Stanley Chavanji said the violence in this home was not news. Maureen used to be abused physically without taking any action.
Ndio tulisikia nduru. Kwenda kuangalia kwa dirisha tukaona moto. Moto umewaka nyumba. Nikakimbia nikaona moto umejaa nyumba mzima. Nikashindwa hata vile naweza ingia huko. Nilichukua maji tu nikamwagilia vitu zile zilikuwa zinaungua. Na nikatoa huyo msichana nje. Bibi yangu akakuja kutoka, kajaribu kumfanya first aid, akamwekea unga chapati, na huyu bwana kutoka kwa nyumba nikangangana na yeye nimshike, akanishinda na nguvu, hata kanidunga na kisu hapa.
Residents of Soweto slums have now filed their complaint at the Directorate of Investigation, DCI, and want the authority to arrest the suspect and be charged in a court of law. The plea of the family and residents at large is that they will find a well-wisher who will help clear the bills at Kenyatta Hospital, consequently allowing them lay Maureen's body to rest in peace.
Kwa sasa watoto kwa kazini yangu huko ndo wanaishi na bado hawajaingia shuleni kwa sababu baada ya kisa tumekuwa na harakati za hapa na pale, na sasa tulikuwa tunadhani mpaka ile siku tutailaza roho yake mahali pema.
The plea of the family and residents at large is that they will find a well-wisher who will help bills at Kenyatta Hospital, consequently allowing them lay Maureen's body to rest in peace. Reporting for TV47, my name is Winnie Maganga.
Moving on, the Infrastructure Department is staring at a 127 billion shillings budget shortfall, something which the Infrastructure PS Paul Maringa says will affect the department due to pending bills and stalled projects. Our parliamentary reporter Elizabeth Mutuku has more with this story.
Defending their budget policies for the financial year 2020 before the Parliament Committee on Transport, Public Works and Infrastructure Principal Secretary Paul Maringa said that they would need to acquire 150 billion bond to complete the stalled projects and pending bills.
We discovered this award of construction is deceptive. It's not like the normal award where you award and a contractor is on site in a week's time. This financial conveyancing process we are pointing out, from my experience, will take very likely another 2 years. And so we are finding that would be 8 years where we are locking down funds that are, if they are directed to support the bonds, all right, with a specific instruction to actually mobilize funds for these roads.
However, Maringa was put to task to explain how the department is going to service and 50 billion bond, MPs raising concerns on National Treasury controlling the bond.
And so that you can be able to use this money to do two things. One, because the bond may take some time. I don't know what timelines you have for the bond. And because the sector is already ailing, pending bills. Use part of the transfer that annuity money to clear the pending bills. That's number one. And two, these members and other members of parliament have been complaining about, we are getting to the short range, to the MAM, to the much premier range, and we have some priority roads.
It's something the PS and his team should look into bringing it to an end. Take the same amount of money, take it for a bond, and give the roads that were existing the first priority, and then open it up for other new roads, so that the roads board we have agreed on can deal with the pending bills and the existing roads. Then the money that was coming from the fuel levy to further the program, we increase the bond and get some extra funds. First and foremost, take up all the roads that were envisaged to be done under the annuity program, and have an opportunity to start new roads.
The chairman, Transport Committee, David Kosing, and some of the members raising eyebrows on how the annuity project's allocation is being used, allegations being raised that the annuity allocation is being transferred elsewhere.
Even that money, so that I give I say, do you still have that money in PS?
Yes, we have.
Annuity money, how much do you have?
We have 32 billion so far. Sorry, madam? 37 billion so far.
It was about 49. What has happened? It was more.
I'll need to verify the figures, but I think some of it may have gone into paying the one that has been done in Iserian.
You need to confirm that and submit to this committee, because we were hearing.
Yes.
And we were hearing that annuity money that was lying somewhere, that place, was being taken to finance other things, which are not roads.
Transport Principal Secretary Esther Koimet was in pains after appearing before the committee without detailed report on the budget policies, forced to go back till later dates.
But it is, you have very senior officers, KA, KCA, MDs and so on. It is not good, it's embarrassing that you can send very senior people like this outside, just for a small presentation. And roads did very well. So please, with those remarks, am I communicating on members? 5:30 for them. Bring up a good document and appears.
Chairman, thank you very much. As different ministries continue to defend their budget policies, the main concern goes to the stalled projects, whether they're going to be given priority or not. Elizabeth Machuku, TV47, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
To BBI matters now, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and other leaders from various divide made their way to KICC in Nairobi today to present their views before the steering committee on the implementation of the Building Bridges Initiative report. Aaron Kipkoech has the details.
The steering committee on the implementation of the Building Bridges Initiative BBI report today continued with the ongoing validation hearings at Kenya International Convention Center KICC in Nairobi.
Today, the risk landscape in this country has greatly changed. And so, for our success in security, we need to change with the times and include the new ways of doing our safety.
The task force invited diverse representation from all citizens and leaders from various divides. Umbrella Workers Body Central Organization of Trade Unions, KOTU, asked the task force in its report to consider the welfare of all the workers, especially their health condition.
We have to look at the person in Mandera and the person in Marsabit and Mombasa as capable of accessing the highest standard of health. And this highest standard of health means the provider being availed to them. Today we have a skewed distribution of health workers because some counties are doing very well, some counties are not doing very well.
Youth Welfare Association leaders emphasizing that this is the time for change and it is only through BBI that their views will be heard.
Kenyans know we need change, bold changes. These we young people agree with it 100%, that Kenya needs change, bold changes. It might be difficult, but we must make those changes.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who was among those who presented their view, says that the Senate cannot be abolished if the country wants to strengthen and promote devolution.
The report of this task force is very clear. Yeah, and they had to do validation. It is not just me differing with Farah, even they select the task force itself differs with him. And I say that it's not a matter of differing or not, but it's good that we listen to each other. So I think the media can help us on that one. So it is not played. I mean, the critical issues here are so important. So I think we can take it up from there.
Deputy Governor said that their role is not clear and BBI also should consider their role.
On youth and employment, we recommend a policy that provides for legal and regulatory guidelines for credit lenders, including banks, to lend part of their portfolio to the micro, small, and medium businesses.
The task force is expected to submit a final report to the government by June 30th. Aaron Kipkoech, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, Kiambu Governor James Nyoro has nominated Joyce Ngugi as his deputy. Ngugi is the chairperson of the National Council of Children's Service. Nyoro himself was sworn in as Kiambu County boss on January 31st, taking over from his impeached predecessor, Ferdinand Waititu. Let's have that story.
Barely a month into his new position as Kiambu's top county boss, Governor James Nyoro has nominated former Gatundu South MP Joseph Ngugi's widow, Joyce Wanjiku Ngugi, as his deputy. Nyoro greatly praised his nominee, largely on her education's full cup.
For Deputy Governor, Mrs. Ngugi is very well known to us. She is pursuing her PhD in Leadership and Governance at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. She has a master's degree in counseling and psychology from Kenyatta University, and she is currently the chairperson of the National Council of Children's Services.
An elated Joyce Wanjiku was clear on her immediate project being a unified county should her nomination be successfully upheld.
I will take the opportunity to thank the Governor, Dr. Nyoro, the people of Kiambu who have been speaking about me here and there, to have found me fit for the position. God be my helper. I will actually do the work of deputizing the governor, meaning I'll do as per his instructions and serve the people of Kiambu diligently. And I know once holding hearts together with the people of Kiambu will make Kiambu great. Thank you.
Nyoro also reshuffled the cabinet that was under Ferdinand Waititu, with major changes being Juliet Kamau, who was in charge of the Ministry of Roads and Transport, being slashed out and replaced by Samuel Mugo. The Youth and Sports Ministry was filled by Isabel Wayaki after her predecessor, Karugutano, was ousted out of the seat.
County Secretary of Public Service still remains Dr. Martin Jogo. The CC in charge of health services, the nominee who will be presented for vetting, as you know, is Dr. Joseph Nganga Murega.
Kawira Wakithenji, TV47.
From Kiambu County, let's now head to Wajir County. After the prolonged locust invasion in northeastern region, the ripple effect of the locusts are now visible. Over 59 swarms of locusts have affected Wajir County, and experts believe that the multiple invasion will be expected till mid this year. Isadin Haji now reports on the trails of destructions left behind by the locust.
Since the invasion of desert locusts in Wajir County, devastating results of trail of impacts left by the swarm that invaded the entire county is at the moment felt. A county that earlier suffered a long period of drought now has lost most of its recent green environment, posing threat to pastoralists from the region and small-scale farmers. Locust invasion in Kenya was a thing of the past, as the country suffered similar attack close to 6 centuries ago. But today, the ripple effect seems to have doubled in northeastern counties.
It's apparent right now that the national preparedness. During the colonial time, we used to have a particular department, the locust control unit, which used to come along with the livestock marketing division. These things are no more.
Wajir County has partnered with other organizations, including World Food Program, in order to distribute food rations to residents across all the sub-counties. This distribution comes at a time where residents needed relief from stresses caused by climate change and natural disasters such as locust invasions. Since early December last year, experts recorded that swarms of locusts invaded the county from different directions, with most of swarms invading through Mandera and neighboring country Somalia.
So far, 300,000 hectares of vegetation and about 190 hectares of crops were damaged.
Invasion of locusts has spread to a good number of Kenya's landmass, posing threats to large-scale farmers and crops. The locusts are now believed to be at their maturity stage, laying eggs being a great worry since a new generation of them will be formed. The county government of Wajir now faces pressure in mitigating locust invasions and control of climate change and disaster management. The list they had as food rations are now getting distributed to residents at far-flung locations.
We will keep on marshalling resources from our partners and from our budget through implementation and sending more appeals to local and international organizations.
Well, experts have declared that locust invasions will occur till mid this year. But the big question is, will the county government of Wajir bear to make more food distributions amid biting county economy? Isadin Haji, TV47, Wajir County.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, has come out guns blazing, demanding for teacher safety to be put first. KUPPET has lauded the Teacher Service Commission for the transfer of non-local teachers from Northeastern region.
I heard you had some changes.
Kama watafunzwa walshahada, kama watapewa wajifunza hata mambo ya Kisomali, hatuwezi kubali walimu wetu waende kwa huko.
We condemn dualist blatant hijacking of the terrorism issue to cultivate a siege mentality in its community by blaming non-Somalis for the withdrawal of teachers from the region. Repeated claims by Duale that non-Somali officials are responsible for the disruption of teaching services across the region do not bode well for national cohesion. KUPPET wish to restate the position for the mass transfer and support the Teacher Service Commission for the removal of teachers from Northeastern region until there is demonstrable proof that they will be safe.
It's 23 minutes past the hour. Thank you for choosing to stay with us here on TV47. Remember, you are watching Spotlight. The discussion that we will be having shortly after this break is the state of the nation. The question we are asking you is Kenya worse or better as of now? Remember, as always, you can be part of this discussion. Tweet us at TV47KE. The hashtag to use is TV47 Spotlight. We'll be back with this discussion after the break. Watatu.
Welcome to the exciting world of M-Truck Solutions, your trusted provider for bulk SMSs. We also offer API integrations for all your communication and payment needs. We also provide you with tailor-made payment gateway solution to receive and disperse cash quickly, affordable and securely. Let us expand your reach and connectivity on USSD, SMS and voice today. Call us on 0723 030 030 or email hello@mtrucklimited.co.ke. For more details, visit our website www.mtrucklimited.co.ke.
The greater the suffering,
Kwa mara ya kwanza mboni ya TV47 inaingia kaunti ya Uasin Gishu. Je, kuna nini?
Natumia kupita kiwango na yaamkia asubuhi, lakini kila mtu ako na sababu zake tofauti tofauti.
Pombe inanisaidia kwa mawazo.
Jambo la kwanza, yule wa kulaumiwa ni shetani.
Ati Eldoret inasemekana huko ni mahindi tu, hakuna. Lakini hapa ndio penyewe mahali ambapo pombe zinashukia, hata inakuja kwa wingi.
Every electioneering period comes with promises. Promises that sometimes are just meant to get you buy-in.
In this year's program, we've said we're going to double the subsidy. We're going to make fertilizer even cheaper. From 1,800, we're now going to take it down to 1,200.
On Pledge Watch, what happens after Mheshimiwa gets that seat is our core business. We will ask those tough questions. And where the promises have been delivered, we'll be here to celebrate the achievements. Pledge Watch, where a promise is indeed dead. Join me, Linda Alela, every Tuesday at 9 p.m. as we get to ask these candid questions only on TV47.
Hi guys, my name is Valerie. Every Monday to Friday, me kwa shule, getting an education for a bright future. The nose, the trachea, and the lungs. Mimi hupenda kuogelea. Pia, it's time for me to have fun with my friends. Join us every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Kipindi cha watoto mashinani.
All right, welcome back to Spotlight. Thank you for making time for us. And as always, remember you can be part of this discussion. And the topic that we are discussing in studio being the state of the nation. The question we are asking you is whether Kenya is better off or worse off as of now. Twitter is at TV47KE. Remember, you can send us a message on 22047. You can call in as well on your screen. And let me introduce my guests. To my immediate left is Jeremiah Kioni, Member of Parliament in Deragwa. Yes. Betty Adera, governance expert, and Benji Ndolo, a political analyst. Gentlemen and lady, thank you for making time for us here on TV47 and for the first show of Spotlight.
Good evening and thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Kenya's population over the years has quadrupled from 80 million in 1963 to 47 million plus now, according to the statistics. Life expectancy has increased from 48 years in 1963 to 60 plus years, the latest data in 2011 as per that data. Is it not an irony then that things are improving at the same time? It seems as though there is a double-edged sword. that the negativity as well is not ending. Benji, let me start with you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you called me because this is the kind of things I talk about all the time.
Fair enough.
As a policy analyst, these are the things I tweet about all the time. I love to look and study the numbers. I've worked over the years with such institutions as IEA, Institute of Economic Affairs, Office of the Auditor General, Transparency International, and many, many, many other bodies. I'd like to correct you, though, slightly. The population jump is not quadruple. It's actually more than 5 times.
Quadruple.
It is.
More than quadruple.
Because we are talking over 40 million out of a population of 8 million. In fact, when I was a young person, I remember Kenya with a population of about 17 million. And so the population growth is not exactly an advantage per se. Why? And Mheshimiwa will go more into this. They are the lawmakers. They look at policy documents and they feed policy documents. We've got 1 million children being born into this country every year. We also have a lot of graduates. Clearly, we have no jobs.
And on the point of children being born into the country, shouldn't that be more of a blessing? Should it be more of a blessing or a curse?
But how
according to your view?
How are we going to feed them if we have never-ending challenges on the food security front? Forget about even the locusts, which are a big menace. We are not food secure yet. We have not been able to tame and curb corruption. Our industries, from pyrethrum to cotton to wheat to maize to milk, all of these are not able to create jobs, etc. So you have a country that is ever on talk mode, delivering very little, and so therefore very little in growth. Lots of hope, yes, but very little in growth, increased debt, more money servicing debt, therefore more taxes. I've seen the small tax for small traders that is being introduced, I think 2 days from today. Mheshimiwa can tell us more. Actually, tomorrow, 20th. All of these are a very bad picture.
Let me get Betty Adera's thoughts on this. Betty, are we worse off or better off as of now, as a country?
Depending on how you want to look at it, we can actually be both. But going back to the statistics that you have just said, I think we should count ourselves blessed that children are not dying as much as they used to. Women are not as much as they used to when they're having children. And we're having this...
But if the condition of living is not as effective...
I'm getting to that. And we're having like a huge number of women. We're having a huge number of young people, all right? Which, if harnessed very well, can actually be a very, very big blessing, not only for us in Kenya, but also for the entire continent. Remember, Africa is the youngest continent in the world, and Kenya contributes significantly to part of that. But for me, the question I would ask is, there are that many, yes, we are not dying as much, yes, but what exactly is the quality of life, of the average Kenyan man, Kenyan woman, Kenyan youth, Kenyan child? And I think I go back to, for me, what is it that is eroding that hope for young people? What is it that is eroding, the quality of life for Kenyans? And for me, I will just single it out into one thing, the corruption. I think corruption has reached atomic levels. In Kenya right now, we are looking at people, we are looking at amounts that have never, ever been heard of in the history.
And headlines after headlines. We'll come to...
Headline after headline every single day.
Let me get Mheshimiwa's thought. Jeremiah Koini, of course, Member of Parliament from Deragwa. The same question. Are we better off now?
Are we better off? Yes. Are we where we should be? No. Can we get there? Yes. And I think there will be a multiple there are many things that will need to be done. And what we need to do is, one is be positive about it, and two is try and do something on a daily basis. I know it's really the rhetorical question that was asked some times back by one of the presidents in the US who asked, don't ask what the country is doing for you, ask what you can do for the country. I think we are there. We have a kind of a population, we didn't quite get the numbers we thought. We thought we would go beyond 50, but the numbers grew very fast. We have a very big youthful population in this country, a population that needs to be provided for. They will need to be provided with employment opportunity and many things. And the issue is, how can we engineer ourselves to ensure that we change the direction where the economic growth is there at 6%, but the individuals, the Kenyans, are really not feeling that growth.
And where does this disconnect? Where does this disconnect then come from?
I think
as far as the numbers are impressive, they are quoted everywhere. The president, in fact, in the latest address to the nation, said the economy is strong.
Yes,
it's not. According to him, nonetheless. Yes. Let me ask that. Where does that disconnect then come from?
And this is the bit. I think the economy is growing at the top.
At the top.
But where we have the populace, there is no growth that is being felt. And this will have to do is something that Bernardo talked about. It is the policies that we have. And there must be some deliberate, deliberate work done to ensure that this is felt at the bottom. And this again happened in the year 2007. I remember 2006, before we went for these 2007 elections, there was the growth was almost at 7%, but the populace was like, we are still struggling. You're telling us you're growing at Nairobi, but it's not happening at the Mashinani. And that gave Kibaki a major problem in getting elected.
Let me interject you at that point. Let me interject you at that point, which begs the question, is the economy then working for the people?
No, it's not.
No.
Who is it working for, Benji?
For the top 1%. Because the top 1%, the system is very warped. You heard Mheshimiwa talking about the youth bulge that needs to be provided for. What he's talking about is the youth need an opportunity to do something, to be busy, to open small businesses and actually realize progress and growth. That cannot when the regulatory framework is oppressive. I've been very lucky to learn and live in a country for many years where you can literally come out of nowhere and become somebody. Why? Because of the level playing field. So today, if you're not really connected or if you don't have a godfather, what are the chances of getting a meaningful tender and supplying proper staff, even under the different things like the youth one, which is it called AGPO? And the different ones you need. How do you get money to start a business?
And the cycle of certificates.
When I have actually seen the central bank governor himself, man who is very, I think, in touch with reality and adept in communications, conceding that we have a problem with interest rates. These are just basic facts. When the judiciary is riddled with corruption, how does a young man like yourself start something and then compete with the big, dynasties, etc., and business owners who actually emerge? This is why the distribution is the problem. The effect is not really felt at the bottom. Money is not exchanging hands, and this is very bad even for security, even for trade.
And primarily, one will say this is because of
and also
policies?
for poverty. The policies, the system is rigged, and the policies are oppressive. There has also been misgovernance. When you misgovern, Abu Bakar, you end up in a situation where money has been borrowed. It has been, the same money has been stolen, and then the loans have to be paid back. If that is not the definition of a crisis, Mheshimiwa, I don't know what is.
Let me ask Betty this. Benji talks of policies. If at the helm of these offices are individuals who, due to limits in terms or whatso, are changing one after another to occupy these offices, and the same problems persist, where then is the genesis of this issue?
For me, I'd like to say that the policies are actually there. The people who make them or revise them are actually there. They move in, they move out, others come in, others go out. But for me, I take it back to what do we do with these policies? To what extent, are they implemented in such a way that the common mwananchi down there will feel that, yes, there's such and such a policy that actually protects me. And for me, I would flip that conversation to ask, what does the common mwananchi in this Kenya want? What does the young man, young woman out there want? What actually is just opportunities, and opportunities for them to thrive, and opportunities for them to... Exactly.
Before you even continue, you ask, what does the common mwananchi want?
Yeah.
Do you think they are being asked that question at a participation level first, before even the policies are crafted?
And I'm thinking...
In your own view, do you think...
In my own view, no. Our public participation is also one area that we need to look at and actually improve. But these are conversations that, first of all, need to start at the family level, at the household level, at the community level, before then they are raised, up. Really, what does a common woman down Mashinani really want? She only wants a way to send her children to school. She wants a way to send her children to hospital. She wants to, walk or drive or cycle on good roads. She wants market, for her merchandise, whatever it is she's plus basic needs.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me bring Mheshimiwa to the discussion.
Before he comes in, we live in a country where a lady who has hardly gone to school can sell sugarcane, not realize payment for that sugarcane. You can have a person come for years. You can have a person come and head a company that processes sugarcane, import sugar, pack it, make money and run to become governor and win. I mean, this kind of rot, systemic rot, is what must be discussed on the floor of the House and what must be fought. We must not give up. This is, it's
Benji, on that point, do you believe what you're calling the systemic rot can be defeated?
100%.
Yes.
Fair enough. Mheshimiwa, let me get you to the discussion. If then we have good policies, we have good laws that govern the country, and the implementation of this is lacking, why spend money in crafting these policies, crafting these laws, if at all they won't be implemented?
No, they will be. Let me say, we have to deal with a lot. We have to deal with the corruption. We have to deal with this wastage that we have. But as we are doing that, and as we are sitting in Parliament to craft the policies, the young men in Dalagwa are still waiting for what do I do today, tomorrow, what do I do tomorrow. Now. They may not have the
questions
time.
Leaders
and they are really questions that bother me on a daily basis. And one of the things that I think we need to do, I saw it was done a little bit a while ago, is take programs to the ground deliberately to empower people. That time we called them economic stimulus program, and they helped the young people to have something to do on a daily basis in the construction unit and the rest. Today, I think what the young men are asking is, where can I get some real capital to start something? Can you give me a washing machine, a car washing machine or something? I see the county people doing that and trying to help them in a way. But I think the national government needs to come in a big way, and I think that is what the government is doing with this Biashara Mashinani, where they have money that is cheap money available to the young people who can then borrow, and the idea is that they are to use the money for 7 years, then given 3 years grace period to repay the money, so that they can then be able to get into economic activity, grow the economy of that, create employment, and that must be done at the down there, at the constituency level, at the county, sub-county level.
Let me ask you this question. Isn't that not the language of every leader, from the presidency to the MCA level, that every time a leader wants to get to a certain office, flowery languages such as empowerment, we will improve your life, is being used. Disconnect is really improving in the lives of
the only thing is that it is not a language that you talk about now, because we are not going into elections next year. Then we have some.
But it seems as though we are already in an electioneering period.
Unfortunately, and that is why one of the discomfort within some quarters. The issue is that needs to be done, and I'm saying I have seen some governors, I've seen some MCAs, because again this is a docket within the county government, but the national government must come in. And I can tell you that in Nyandarua County, the president launched the Biashara Mashinani in our own county. I haven't seen the money going to the youth as yet, but the idea is that these are things that must be done and not just talked about. And we can't wait. Intervention measures must now be done. There's no time to talk. The policies are there. It's already known. We know the numbers that we have. We have the census. We can give you some very good elaborate projections and statistical information about our country. But we now need to ensure that we deal with the issue of what is that young man waking up to do tomorrow.
Benji, let me ask you this question before we go for a break. Often in a progressive democracy, one will assume data or facts, findings will be used by those in authorities to reach a certain goal. Do you think in your own observation that some of these facts, some of this data collected from Kenyans is being used by those in power to improve their lives?
You see, for me, Abu Bakr, I'm able to speak objectively. I'm apolitical. Mheshimiwa Kioni is a Jubilee MP, so conceivably, we have a problem with the policies and the political direction that the country has taken, even before all of this electioneering, as you call it, has happened, because we have a disconnect between what Jubilee policy say what they do. So, for example...
And do you think this is exclusively to the Jubilee?
Yeah, I think it's exclusively to the Jubilee.
Should we not be fair that some of these problems existed before them?
They existed before, and the other side is incompetent as well as corrupt. But Mheshimiwa just considered that the president came and launched something, which up to now, that puts him in a very bad situation, by the way. He might not say it, but I'll say it. And I tell them all the time, and we talk. And for someone to tell you the truth does not mean that they hate you. This country, Abubakar, needs urgent solutions. These things need to happen yesterday. Things are not working, and people are despairing. And so it's not enough to talk about numbers. It's not enough to talk about stadia or stadiums. It's not enough to talk about women empowerment or youth fund. You must deliver and implement, which is why Nzoka Waita, for example, was appointed as a secretary for delivery. But after a while, that docket was stripped, and he's now chief of staff in State House.
I'm more than sure
we have a problem with implementation.
Fair enough. I'm more than sure your paintings as though they're too bleak to describe.
No, they are the reality.
Hold on,
the numbers will back me up.
Hold on that thought. It's time for us to take a short break here on Spotlight. We still have a lot to discuss. We'll be back after this break with more of this.
Linalowapa vijana nafasi ya kuchangia kwa mada inayowaathiri.
Vijana tukishikana, we can bring a revolution. Tunaweza geuza serikali sahihi, lakini serikali yenyewe haiwezi kubali.
Tunazungumza kuhusu ajira, afya, uongozi, ukuzaji wa talanta, pamoja na masuala ibuka katika jamii. Ni mazungumzo bora inayofungua mlango wa suluhisho kwa masuala tata miongoni mwa vijana. Ungana nami Paul Kirobi kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 12 hadi saa 1 jioni katika kipindi cha Vijana Mashinani. Wakati wetu ni sasa.
Welcome to the exciting world of M-Truck Solutions, your trusted provider for bulk SMSs. We also offer API integrations for all your communication and payment needs. We also provide you with tailor-made payment getaway solution to receive and disperse cash quickly, affordable and securely. Let us expand your reach and connectivity on USSD, SMS and voice today. Call us on 0723-030-030 or email hello@mtruck.limited.co.ke. For more details, visit our website www.mtrucklimited.co.ke.
Siasa ni sawa na usiku wa giza. Usiku uliojaa siri, hila na karata.
Na nitajaribu.
Na inahitaji ujasiri kuupenya.
Tunapiga mdomo sana, lakini hakuna kitu kigeni.
Mimi wewe niambia nikatae kwenda kukamua ng'ombe maziwa yangu nipeleka niende Mombasa. No, wanakuja Mombasa ni wanajiweza.
Wacha nicheke kwa sababu nafikiri kwa sababu ya hizo nguo wanavaa wanaona Wakenya wengine ni wajinga.
You cannot have your cake and eat it.
Na wakati wa Ruto kuumia vimao. Sasa
Baraza la siasa limejituma kutia mwangaza kwenye giza hili.
Ungana nami Salome Mwiruri kila Alhamisi saa 2 jioni.
All right, welcome back to Spotlight. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. Remember, as always, you can text us on 22047, and some of your feedback is already coming in. I'm Oscar from Babadogo. Oscar says, I myself can say that Kenya is worse off now. I'm watching from Juja. My thoughts are that the country is worse off now. As young people, we need our government to act on our behalf. Hi, I'm Chris from Nakuru. He wants to ask, what can the solution be? Before we get to the solution, Chris is asking for Betty. When we have such feedback, and because of the nature of this channel, our audience reaches mainly young people. And young people are, in these words, not impressed, not hopeful. Should this be a worry?
Oh, yes. We need to be very worried. We need to be a worried lot because young people out there are looking up to us, the us of today, for direction. They're looking up to us, for solutions. They're seeing what people in leadership are doing and what people in leadership are not doing. They're watching really almost helplessly, as resources meant for them, is being channeled to personal pockets. And looking at even their own participation in political leadership, they're crying every single day that where is the space, of young people. I want to believe if you went on and on, reading the tweets, it would be the same.
Definitely we'll get to some of it.
Yeah,
and on that
exactly,
point, we have seen the number of young people actively engaged in politics or leadership increase over the years. One will, I bet, ask the question, what have these young people who have so much wanted to be in these positions done?
Well, there's quite a number of youthful MCAs that I know of, youthful members of parliament who have actually done, quite something. And I'm thinking that perhaps it might be unfair, to target, young people in terms of what really have they done when we're not looking at the entire picture in terms of the, the systemic challenges that are there.
But is there a problem in pointing that? For instance, if at all, from the beginning, the perception was when young people get to these positions, they may be the change makers.
Exactly, and that
there should be no problem holding them to account.
There's definitely no problem. The minute you're put in a leadership position, whether you're young or old, the rule is the same. The standards, are the same. But I want to believe that young people in leadership are best placed to articulate issues of young people themselves. But I think the young people out there listening to us tonight must go back to the drawing board and and get themselves to the point of reality that, look, no one is going to just give it to you because you're young. You have for You have to organize, yourselves in such a way that decide who among you is going to be the flag bearer, and all of you rally behind that person. But with a caution that once you, young person, you go in, please remember the other young people who actually put you there. But we need our young people, their voices in the right places at the right time and in the right volumes, because the future of our country is now for them and it is tomorrow.
Fair enough, Betty. Jeremiah, before we move from this topic, I bet because we're out of time as well. More than just the complaints, then, what can be the solutions? What is it that the current crop of leadership is not doing that ought to?
One is, let me say, when the young man says the country is, we are worse off now, I appreciate, and it is the feeling of the young people. For those who've been there a little bit longer, they'll tell you that we are not worse off. Because if you look at the infrastructure, for example, I can just tell you that I have been unable to access out of Nairobi through Thika Road in the past because of the way the road was narrow. Now we have that huge road that we have, and you can be able to move. Like, I drove along it to hit this place, and you not believe where I was when I received a call from Elizabeth. Without doubt, we have moved as a country. But what I'm saying is that that young man who has graduated from a college, he's finished his Form 4 and the rest, will not be looking at those mega projects. They are looking at what is it that I can do tomorrow. And for his world, certainly things are worse off. And it's always a question as where do you start when you're answering that question? And the country is moving. The thing that is without doubt a problem is the issue of corruption. And I'll give you a quick example that I was in Germany and they brought down the Berlin Wall some 20 years ago, 1989. That's 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And within 30 years ago, the very bad towns in the east of Germany are now developed towns offering all the things that are being offered in the west. Within 30 years, the country has been moved. Within 60 years, we haven't moved in the way that we should move. Why? One thing that is called corruption. Young people, what should they do? They should stop supporting tribesmen who have been targeted by the anti-corruption.
But isn't it not the case that the leaders are the ones balkanizing the people to vote in their favor?
They themselves, even the young people, are very quick to say, this is our own. But they have also gone to school to be able to say that we cannot just be balkanized. This is not the 60s, when you be put together and you are told you are threatened.
But
now they have the social media,
they
have the media, TV47, which is informing. They should be able to know that there is no threat being posed by that other person. The threat is posed by your own person who is stealing from you. And it will not improve until we all stop stealing. Because every time we support a thief, you support a thief because you want to be poorer yourself.
Fair enough. Before we move from this, Benji, let me ask you this question. When will Kenya's democracy then get to that point where we will need to overlook tribe and some of these simple issues?
So we talk about that every day, some of us. In fact, I was just telling Betty just now in the VIP waiting there, we have now to move this country in a manner that introduces purely ideological politics, move away from
Benji,
ethnic mobilization.
I'm told we have a caller from Meru. Benji, good evening. Kelvin, rather. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello?
Good evening, Kelvin. Meru, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, I have a contribution to make. Hello?
Kelvin from Meru, I can hear you well.
Yes, I'm having a contribution to make. Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, there is a question that you are asking initially to the panelist that is in the right track. And I think if you ask that question, it will be a bit relative because for a person like me, I've been at least been there, observing the political trend, the economical trend is somewhere there around 2000. And for me, I would really say that the economy since 2000, 2002 up to around 2013 when Kibaki was in power, it was actually in the very right path. But since then, 2013 to 2017, at where we are right now, like our economy is widening the rift between the poor and the rich.
Kelvin, then what do you think is the genesis of this fairness on one side and what you are describing now?
I think the problem still narrows down to this monster we call corruption. For to believe, it is like it has a very nice story, it's like a very nice storybook with very good pictures, but the wording is empty. The effort being made by the president and is like being tried to be frustrated by his own people. So it's like the economy has been set for the political class because, they are...
Okay, Kelvin, I think we got your point. Thank you for calling. Kelvin from Meru, of course, calling us, telling us when the economy was good and according to him, when things changed. Benji?
Not according to him. You can see
of course, it is what? It's his opinion.
You can see unanimously the tweets, the calls, the emails, the everything. We have a problem. And Mheshimiwa alluded to several very good points, which I would only challenge him and ask him, can you imagine if His Excellency Mwai Kibaki had been in power 24 years like the second president, Arap Moi? Kibaki obviously put us on the right path, on a very strong trajectory. Even with all the issues from 2007 and a coalition government in place notwithstanding, the economy obviously was on the right path with the infrastructure he's talking about, with the design of the SGR and what have you. But then corruption kicks in, inflation of projects, kickback culture, etc. And just to answer and clarify your question, by the way, about young leaders, a lot of the youthful leaders we have are complete jokers. Why? They came in without the right focus into a bad environment and they've been terrible. And the other example I can give, Mheshimiwa, which is even better, when you talk about East Germany, 1989 was 31 years ago. I'd like to tell Mheshimiwa, and this is a fact, that after World War II, you know, Germany was completely, and Japan, they were bombed to powder, kabisa. And in 20 years, Germany was a world power because of the culture of excellence. Everything, you look at a German car, you look at a German road, you look at how Germans do their things. And you believe that
culture can be inculcated even here?
It can, but we have to start, and we have to start yesterday, and we have to move tomorrow.
Good. Betty, let me move the topics a little bit. Of course, we can't be talking of the state of the nation tonight more than talking at the elephant in the room, which is the BBI report. What, in your view, do you think the BBI is? Is it, as some say, a waste of taxpayers' money, or a consultative forum? Let her answer.
Personally, I think BBI came at the right time. Personally, I support it fully. And it came to make two giants, you know, shake hands and say, hey, let's pause. As a country, let's pause. This country is bigger than two people. It's bigger than, you know, them, and it's about the common mwananchi. And let's get back to round the table and just talk about the things that ail us.
And you are specific of the two.
And I'm specific of the two because that's where it started. That was the genesis, and then of course it trickled down to all of us. But for me, one of my key things in the BBI is the article number 1 that talks about lack of national ethos. And I'm thinking that underpins even the elephant you say in the room and all these other corruption allegations and integrity issues that has been with us, and it is worsening, you know, year in, year out. And I'm thinking that except we go back to as Africans, back to our roots as Kenyans, and just say that, look, we have some values that can keep us together, that can give hope, you know, to the young people, and can make the leaders, you know, occupy leadership spaces, you know, the right way.
And you believe the 155 pages report can be the starting point of this?
I think it's a continuing conversation because national ethos didn't start with BBI. It's been there for a while, but I think the BBI just, you know, brought a clearer framework within which it can be discussed.
Let me ask Jeremiah this. Given that the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report that was handed to the President in 2014, the Kriegler report, the Ndungu report, which chronicled how land was allocated to few individuals. All these reports are yet to be implemented. Their products yet to be felt by the people. What gives a Kenyan, for instance in Mandera, a hope that this BBI report will be implemented, unlike all these other reports?
One of the recommendations of the Krieger report was to look at the issues that are contained in the 2010 Constitution. We may not have implemented all that was said by, or provided for in the Krieger report, but there are issues in the Krieger that have been acted upon, and they have helped us to move from point A to point B. So I really don't want to paint that hopeless situation. And also, even when you look at the
but even in the recommendation
report, let me tell you this again and allow me, because being there a little bit longer is useful. The recommendations that this Truth and Justice Reconciliation Committee, and I have read the document, are very good. But I tell you, some of the recommendations, you want to implement them, and you really want to look for a revolution. So it's really managing where we are, where we want to go, and the difficulties that we have gotten ourselves into, that we don't lose a country in the process. A very difficult thing to sell. I want to tell you that BBI is one of the other useful steps that we are taking today. And and I'm sure in the coming couple of days, weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months, things will may clear up. Because even today, at least we have the BBI report. It was part of the Nation. And one is able to read it and see where it is. So it's also done in Kiswahili, so that people can be able to see. And the things being talked about here are the same issues we are engaging us on, the state of the nation. Point you really are spot on. And these are issues that we must engage and agree that we need to quickly move from where we are.
Mheshimiwa, the question I was asking is, what gives any Kenyan confidence that this report will be implemented to the latter?
Because all the other reports have been implemented, only that they have not been
partly
implemented.
The recommendations where it was.
And I want to tell you also, I want to caution you. Because if you sell that narrative, you and
I'm not selling, Mheshimiwa.
Let me say, you and I, and those seated here, and it is actually in your culture, they have this saying, Maharim taught me, that choma, nyumba, ikichomeka hata yangu itachomeka. we have to be careful because when the thing is that we have a country and we have problems, we have issues, but we need to come together, and that is why the shaking of hands was one major thing. We had a person who had been sworn in at Uhuru Park, and another one who had been legally sworn in at State House.
And what guarantees the longevity of this report post-2022?
However bad, even if they didn't involve others, they give us a semblance of peace. We are able to discuss BBI now. We can even mention it. Before the shaking of hands, that was not there. It was tear gas. So the country is moving. When I told you that I was in Germany, and even this that was there, a member who was there was telling us this morning, a senator, that the whole world is celebrating. They want to know, what is this? How is it that Kenyans came together? And the Americans are asking, how can the Democrats and the Republicans come together? In Germany, in fact, the president of Germany is coming.
But to be fair,
and he's coming.
To be
why
fair,
is
the
he
coming together was largely by the leaders of these political
Why is he
associations.
coming? And every
The
other
attacks
country,
are as divided as clearly we
every
can
other
see
country is asking, can our leaders also come together? It's the starting point. And you cannot just pour cold water on this thing that is actually being, I'm telling you about the Germans. The members of parliament of Germany, all of them are asking, how did it happen? You know, it is a big For us here, we still think it's a small thing, and it's normal for us because we have bigger problems and we really want to move fast. But I also want to tell you that as a country, we also are being appreciated out there, and let's not really demean this issue of BBI. Something good.
Benji,
something good
final
will come
word.
out
My
of
director
it.
is telling me that we're out of time.
Mheshimiwa is talking about Germany, and I can tell you for a fact, I travel quite a bit, and I've traveled quite a bit. You travel out there and you realize the world has problems, but Africa has special problems. The reason we have this thing called BBI and all these other things happening that's costing a lot of taxpayer money that has no legal framework is because you have an individual, Raila Odinga, who said that Uhuru Kenyatta did not defeat me. That he repeated even just last week in Mombasa during one of the rallies. How you are going to resolve something like that by putting icing on a cake in order to mask the issues underneath. You can take it to the bank. All that BBI is trying to do is to create a formula that then solidifies tribalism and distributes seats at the top, tokenism, so that we say the cake is bigger and the cake represents corruption. And Benji. Now, Watuwetu, they're in power, so let us be calm. Mheshimiwa is confusing calmness for peace. What this country needs is the right, commensurate, progressive politics.
If road to peace is started by calmness, shouldn't that not be a positive start?
It is true, but how do you build bridges by burning others? Look at the situation today, just right in Jubilee itself, which cannot even hold a PG meeting. We must stop kidding ourselves.
You see, one of the other things that BBI is trying to sort out is that pessimism.
It's not pessimistic,
approach.
it's realistic.
We need to be a little bit more positive, because you cannot move out of this building if you keep fire outside, and without doubt there is no fire. And if you scare everybody and you have young men who are scared there is fire, they will not also move out. So I want to say that BBI, and I say this because I was involved in the 2010 constitution, and I can tell you the issues that are being addressed by the BBI is to move this constitution to the next level so that it delivers better to the Kenyans.
Finally, what guarantees the longevity of the implementation of this report post-2022?
I am there. I share the CIOC. CIOC means Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee. Wisdom of the drafters of the Constitution of 2010. They created a constitutional committee which had been lost in the last parliament, which is supposed to implement, to oversee the implementation of this constitution. We still are trying to make it stronger because it had been weakened before. Even this BBI, if it is left with that, if it's done with that wisdom, we should be able to benefit from the
Thank you, and at that point we will have to end this discussion. It's never enough to have such a discussion. Yes, it's not the first, neither will it be the last.
Yes.
To have this discussion. Jeremiah Kioni, Member of Parliament, Betty Adera, Benji Ndolo, thank you for making time
Honorable
for us.
Benji Ndolo.
I don't like the honor of myself.
And on that light note, we will have to end this discussion on Spotlight. Thanks for watching. I am Abubakar Abdullahi. On behalf of the entire team that made this production possible, bye for now, but enjoy the rest of our programs.